Hello, it's me, Nick, head of Max MOCs, and today I am back with another MOC showcase, and today I am back with the gas giant mass transit pod. Yes, it has been 2 weeks, but I have finally managed to build a new MOC to showcase. For the past few weeks, I've had a lot of Lego train parts lying around, so I decided to take them and make them into something that was very train-inspired, but definitely a lot more futuristic and a lot more complex and greebly looking. When I built this MOC, I took a lot of inspiration from both light rail and bullet trains, cable cars, and even with the whole engine area, the mono-ski speeders from The Last Jedi. However, the real idea for this MOC came up much earlier, a couple of months back. Some of you might remember last year I made a MOC called Dragonport. And if you don't remember, that MOC took place on a colonized gas giant planet with an economy entirely based off of trade ships that sailed via the planet's seas of gases. Well, that MOC was set on a less developed, so-called third world planet. So, for this MOC, I decided to ask the question, well, what would transportation on a colonized gas giant that wasn't as ragtag as the one from Dragonport was look like? And this MOC was the end result. On the planet which this would be used on, which unfortunately I did not make up a name for, this would serve as a form of cross-city transportation. It would go between major big cities on the planet's surface. This would be about the size of a shuttle bus, but it would have about the comfort level of an airplane on the inside, because it's completely airtight and it needs to go on much longer trips than a shuttle bus would go on, and it has all the things that a necessary civilian transport vehicle would need. It's got these caution lights up front, some headlights right there, a solar panel to generate energy, and back there that's actually supposed to be a vent for AC. However, it is entirely unmanned. There is no sort of cockpit in here anywhere. That's why there is this this red light up here. That would be the robotic signal. The robot that controls this thing's signal receptor, along with this antenna right here, and that would take it to this computer system, which is right here, and that would guide where this will go, essentially. By the way, this entire beam-constructed area down here isn't actually part of the aircraft I came up with, or gassy craft, if you will. This is because the pod is designed to float on a gassy surface. This is really what the base looks like. It's not actually intended to support any of its weight. It's actually just intended to hold this on its bottom. So this can't really stand up at all. And I realized that the only way I could have this on camera without having to have one of my hands holding the base of the MOC the entire time was to have this little base section right here. Back on the topic of the MOC itself, the building techniques and design of this build are very good. I've mentioned in previous videos that I've never really been much of a greebler, because usually I either don't have a very large quantity of greebly pieces around to greeble with, and also because I've never really been that great at greebling. Because of this, I decided to greeble a lot in this lower area, because this is where all the engine equipment and methods of propulsion are stored for the craft, so I went out of my way and did my best to make it really rustic and industrial looking. And because of that, yes, I did use a lot of greebling techniques and even a bionicle fist back here to be a bit more unconventional. And overall, the whole greebly look to it, I think I succeeded with very decently. My major hope for this MOC was to make it look less pretty and streamlined and more accurate as to what a transport vehicle on that was designed to ride the current of gas seas on a distant planet would look like. So I wanted to get it to be very functional and realistic looking in terms of the technology that we have today. And yeah, I think I succeeded in doing that pretty well. All of that being said, the MOC is very much an experimental build. And because of that reason, it isn't very solid. The experimental features include upside-down pieces that don't quite line up, a slightly too skinny scaffolding which results in this entire lower area being kind of wiggly, and an illegal Lego combination that just... yeah. Well, most of these issues are pretty annoying. They don't really bother me very much because, like I said, this is an experimental build and it's not really designed to be played with. But just because this isn't intended to be played with doesn't mean it can't have some playability functions. That's right, the door of this MOC can actually open. You just pull out this section and slide it over. Looks pretty good. And even though the space isn't technically big enough to get a minifig through, it's easy enough to imagine one going through. Also, it being a public transportation unit, there's a robotic arm on the side that you can clip a minifig bike to, and then push down so it's flush with the side of the craft. And of course, the roof lifts off and reveals seating for a minifigure and a sink. Now, as I move back to the bottom of the MOC, it's probably best that I explain how the propulsion system of the MOC works. Up on the roof of the MOC, you may have noticed that there are some solar panels. Now, while these do play a part in the way the MOC propels itself, these aren't the way it gets the energy for its propulsion. This actually just powers the electrical system of the craft. Now this includes all the lights and AC inside the cabin, but it also powers these big blue things down here. These big translucent blue things down here are supposed to be what I call attraction panels. These run an electric current through the gas that this travels in. And keep in mind that this is below the gas. This part will be riding on the surface of the gas, and this entire section will be below it. So as it rides below the gas, the electric current attracts all the gases inside the planet's surface. After it does that, it takes the gases through here and into this big area back here. Let me get this off the stand so it's easier to see. And this entire area here is an element synthesizer. The element synthesizer resynthesizes all the gases to make pure hydrogen, which is then sent down here. And I guess I should bring up, because they wouldn't want the ships to use all the gases, some excess gas that they don't need is put back into the planet so the planet doesn't run out of gas. That would be a big problem. And the hydrogen that the synthesizer makes is sent down here to basically the thruster, and this just pushes the ship along. The underside, as I said earlier, I am very happy with, as it is very greebly and very functional looking. And I think my only gripe about this area, which is very small, is that I wish the synthesizer were a bit more solid looking, because Both the Bionicle Fist thing and this tank right here are supposed to be one unit, but they don't really look like that. They look like two separate units that aren't really connected properly, in my eyes. Overall, this is a good MOC. This MOC by far isn't my best, but a pretty fun creation that I enjoyed working on. This MOC would best be improved if it was more solidly built in the bottom area, but doing so would have meant sacrificing a lot of greebling. Also, I think it definitely needs a better looking stand, but this one will suffice for so far. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Well, this MOC was entirely original. I think for my next MOC, I might take an existing Lego set that's kind of boring and turn it into something that's a bit more interesting.